Today I will be discussing the topic of miracles, more specifically medical miracles. The dictionary definition of a miracle is an effect or extraordinary event in the physical world that surpasses all known human or natural powers and is ascribed to a supernatural cause. When someone usually tells me about their experience with a miracle, it goes something like this. They had a friend or family member that was in a horrific car accident. They have brain swelling, they go into a coma. The doctors tell them that they might not ever recover. So the family prays about it. Person comes out of the coma, makes a full recovery, and then you have a miracle. So let's go back to the definition here. The extraordinary event was the person making a full recovery. The surpassing of all known human and natural powers were the doctors predicting a poor outcome. And of course the supernatural cause is whatever God they believe in. So, what I would like to take a closer look at today is the part surpassing all known human or natural powers. What people seem to see when they think they witness a miracle is that when they do not have enough knowledge about a certain thing, they will ascribe it to God. Let me give an example. Long ago, when people used to see lightning, they did not understand it. They didn't know where it came from, they didn't know what was going on, so they ascribed it to a supernatural being, Zeus, and lightning was the miracle. Now that we understand what lightning is all about, it is no longer a miracle, but simply natural reactions. As for a medical miracle healing, those are simply poorly understood natural healing processes. Let me ask you this. Why were medical miracles more spectacular 100 years ago? That's because we didn't have the understanding, the technology, and the medications that we have today. So let's say that same person had a bad accident, they had brain swelling, they went into a coma. Well, back then that person most likely would have died. They didn't have the technology they have today. 100 years ago, people weren't coming out of comas like they are today. If their brain had swelling, and the swelling disappeared without any drugs or surgery, then that would have been much more miraculous. So why then, after everything that science has to offer is given to a person, people are still calling these things miracles? It would be much more believable as a miracle if these people didn't have anything given to them by doctors or nurses and they still made a full recovery. I guess, however, you could really call anything a miracle by its definition. You see, there's a lot we still don't know about. Modern medicine is still quite young. I mean, we've made amazing strides in the last 50 or so years, but we still have a lot to learn. We're learning something new about the human body, how it works, how it heals, every day. Nowadays, we do know how certain things work quite well and how to treat it. Let's give a pulmonary embolism for an example, which is a blood clot in the brain. In the lungs. That person would be given anticoagulants, which are clot-busting drugs, and they might even have surgery to remove the blood clot. Pulmonary embolisms are pretty well understood these days, and it's pretty clear, cut, and dry on how to treat it. So when someone recovers from a pulmonary embolism, it is now not touted as a miracle. Now, something like cancer, which is not very well understood, and does not always involve clear-cut and dry treatments, is a little more mysterious to people. So when a person recovers from it, it's often touted as a miracle. However, it's just treatments working better than the doctors predicted it would. Again, it's not as well understood. Now, if you're able to travel back in time and give people drugs that we have, certain drugs that we have today, the results would be proclaimed a miracle. Or if you gave someone CPR, used a defibrillator, or used any of the modern technology that we have today, it would be seen as miraculous. So, 100 years from now, what people think of as a miracle, such as cancer receding, could be very well understood and no longer thought of as miraculous. These days, what's considered a miraculous medical event will be considered just standard routine 100 years from now. So people sometimes ask me, as an atheist, what do you think a miracle is? Well, my definition is a little different. I think a miracle is something that is impossible, not simply improbable. Let's go back to the person that has a very small chance of recovery. He might only have a 1 in 1,000 or a 1 in a million chance of recovering. And although that chance is very small and improbable, it's not impossible. So when that person recovers, it's a miracle. But I guess the other 999 people that died from it just don't count. You see, people love to remember the hits, but forget about the misses. The real miracle would be if suddenly no one was diagnosed with cancer anymore, or if 100% or even just half of the people that had cancer suddenly recovered from it. So again, impossible versus improbable. Here's a quick example. Someone has stage 4 cancer and is very unlikely to recover from it. They pray about it and then they go into full remission. Although making a full recovery from this type of cancer is very, very unlikely, very improbable, it's not impossible. Now, something impossible would be, let's say, a person has an above-the-knee amputation. They pray to God, they have a priest come over and pray over it, whatever's going on, and over that praying, a new leg emerges from that stump. Now that, my friends, is impossible. Why haven't we ever seen that kind of miracle? It's because it's impossible, not improbable, and therefore will never happen. And since I know someone is going to ask me, yes, if I saw that with my very own eyes and was able to actually touch the leg and know it's real, then yes, I would just right then and there fall on my knees and praise God.